To N.D. Fanvizina, Omsk, February 15th to March 2nd, 1854. At last, most gracious N.D., I am writing to you just after having left my former place of residence. The last time I wrote you, I was sick in body and soul. I was devoured by gloom, and I believe I sent you a very confused letter indeed. My long and humdrum existence, both physically and morally oppressive, broke me down. At such moments, I always feel too sad to write letters. And to thrust your sadness upon others then, even upon people very sympathetic toward you, is, I think, cowardly. Since I have a special opportunity to send this letter to you, I am as pleased as can be to have this chance to talk to you. The more so as I have been assigned to the 7th Battalion in Semipalatinsk, and for that reason don't yet know what the possibilities will be of writing you from there or receiving letters from you. Quite some time ago, you wrote me about my brother. At that time, I prepared a letter for you as well as one for my brother enclosed in yours, but I didn't dare send it off, and I believe I did the right thing. I looked over all the addresses you gave in your letter to SD, and I'll note them down for future reference. They may be reliable, however. Your last letter arrived unsealed, and so we should take every precaution. So if it should be my pleasure to hear from you, it would be best to address your letters to my brother in Petersburg, or possibly, although this is by no means sure, he will see you in person in Petersburg, or perhaps send someone to you who can be trusted. My brother now has a business, and so I suppose you could find his address quite easily. From the advertisements, for instance. I myself don't have his address, but anyway, I wouldn't advise you to rely on the postal services, since I can assume you do know persons traveling between Moscow and Petersburg. This would be the best way of getting a letter for me to him. This would be the best way of getting a letter for me to him. Under this arrangement, I shall be dealing only with my brother. It is much better under the circumstances to be in contact with one person than with two. It is safer, but of course, if you can find some other foolproof way of reaching me, that will be fine, even preferable, since I still don't know myself how I shall write to my brother. I am basing myself on him only because whomever else I write to, I shall certainly communicate with him. Moreover, you live in Marino, which is on the usual road from Moscow to our village in Tula province. I have driven back and forth over that road at least 20 times, and so I can clearly picture for myself the place of your refuge, or, to be more accurate, of your new confinement. With what delight do I read your letters, my most precious N.D. Your letters are superb, or rather, I would say they come straight from your kind, humane heart, easily and without any pretense. There are secretive, bilious natures rarely capable of experiencing the goodness of a brief moment of expansiveness. I know people like that, and still, they are not bad people by any means, even quite the contrary. I am not sure, but your letter gives me the impression that you felt sadness upon returning to your native land. I understand that, for it has occurred to me several times that, if I ever return home, there will be more of pain in my impressions than joy. I have not lived your life, and there are many things in it that I know nothing of. For no one can know another person's life. However, human feeling is common to us all, and I believe that when an exile returns to his homeland, he is bound to live his old sorrows all over again in his memory and his imagination. It is like a weighing machine. It weighs and tells you the true weight of what you have suffered, borne, and lost, and what the good people of this world have deprived you of. But may God grant you many, many years to come. I have heard from many, N.D., that you are a very religious woman. And not because you are religious, but because I myself have experienced and felt it, I shall tell you that at such a time one thirsts for faith as, quote, the withered grass, end of quote, thirsts for water, and one actually finds it, because in misfortune the truth shines through. I can tell you about myself that I am a child of this century, a child of doubt and disbelief. I have always been and shall ever be, that I know, until they close the lid of my coffin. What terrible torment this thirst to believe has cost me and is still costing me. And the stronger it becomes in my soul, the stronger are the arguments against it. And despite all this, God sends me moments of great tranquility, moments during which I love and find I am loved by others. And it was during such a moment that I formed within myself a symbol of faith in which all is clear and sacred for me. This symbol is very simple, and here is what it is. To believe that there is nothing more beautiful, more profound, more sympathetic, more reasonable, more courageous, and more perfect than Christ. And there not only isn't, but I tell myself with a jealous love, there cannot be. More than that, if someone succeeded in proving to me that Christ was outside the truth, and if, indeed, the truth was outside Christ, I would sooner remain with Christ than with the truth. But it is better to stop talking about this. Why is it, though, that certain topics of conversation are completely banned in society, and if they are broached, someone or other gives the impression of being shocked? But let us leave that. I heard that you wish to go somewhere south. May it be God's will that you be granted the necessary permission. But when, please tell me, when will we be completely free, at least as free as other people are? Or will it only be when there's no longer any need to be free? As to me, I want either the best or nothing at all. In a soldier's uniform, I am just as much a prisoner as I was before. And how happy I am that I still find in my soul enough patience to last me a long time, that I am not desirous of worldly blessings, and that all I need is books and the opportunity to write and be alone every day for a few hours. It is this last point that worries me very much. Soon it will be 5 years that I've been living under surveillance in a crowd of men, never alone for a single hour. To be alone is a natural need, just like drinking and eating. Otherwise, with this communism forced on me, man comes to hate mankind. The company of men becomes poison and contamination, and it was this unbearable scourge that made me suffer most of all during those 4 years. There were moments when I hated every man I met, whether innocent or guilty, and I regarded all of them as thieves who were stealing my life from me with impunity. There is no misfortune more abhorrent than when you yourself become unjust, evil, and wicked. You may realize it, even reproach yourself for it, but you are powerless to do anything about it. I have experienced that, but I am sure that God spared you from that. I think that you, as a woman, possessed much more fortitude, which enabled you to bear and to forgive. Write me something, ND. I am leaving for the wilds, deep into Asia, and once in Semipalatinsk, I think I'll be able to slough off for good all my impressions and memories, because I shall be leaving behind the last people whom I loved and who loomed before me like the shadows of bygone days. It is terrible, after I've acclimated myself, how attached I become to whatever is around me and how much it hurts me when I must tear myself away from it. Live on, MD. Live a happy and long life. When we meet again, we shall get to know one another again, and there may yet be many happy days in store for each of us. I am living these days in a strange state of expectation. I feel as if I'm still ill now, and I am under the impression that very soon, at any moment now, something very decisive is going to happen to me. That I am approaching the critical point of my whole life, that I have, as it were, matured for something other. That I have, as it were, matured for something or other, and that something, perhaps quiet and bright, perhaps dreadful, but nonetheless inevitable, is about to happen. If it doesn't, my life will be wasted, but perhaps all this is nothing but the delirium of a sick man. Farewell, farewell, ND, or perhaps I should say until we meet again, for let us trust that we shall meet again. Yours, D. In the name of the Lord our God, forgive me for sending you such messy, scribbled over letters, but for the life of me, I cannot write without crossing out. Please don't hold it against me. And now the footnotes. Natalia Dmitriev von Vizina, 1805 to 1869, née Apoktina, was the wife of Mikhail Alexandrovich von Vizin. He had been arrested and exiled to Siberia for his part in the Decembrist plot. She followed him there and lived in Siberia for the 25 years of his sentence, during which time all her children died. She was one of the Decembrist wives who had treated the Petrushevsky so kindly in the transit prison at Tobolsk. In Diary of a Writer, Dostoyevsky speaks of her as one of those women who had, quote, sacrificed everything for a sublime moral duty, the freest duty that can exist, end of quote. In 1853, she and her husband were allowed to return to European Russia on condition that they not reside in an urban area. They settled in the village of Marino, about 30 miles from Moscow. Her husband became ill and died there the year after their arrival, which presumably accounts for the sadness of her letter. SD is Sergei Durov. The potential antithesis between faith and truth that Dostoevsky presents here reappears in The Devils.